I used to tell people when I worked at Disney that if I didn't have at least one good cry behind the camera a week, then it had been kind of an off week. The most special ones, of course, were the ones that came with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and a couple other organizations like that. Now, if you're not familiar with these organizations, they take sick children with cancer, with a number of other illnesses and problems, and they allow these children to make a wish and then grant that. For a lot of them, their wish is to go to Disney World. We actually had some at Silver Dollar City when I worked there as well. And for us, our whole deal is, okay, here is a sick child and their family. They've been dealing with a whole lot of stress and medical issues and not feeling good and garbage. We want to make this day a memorable one where they don't even have to think about any. And so we'd see them and we kind of target in and go, okay, I'm going to do something special for you. Well, so did the characters. They loved on these kids, and we'd have them come in, and depending upon how sick the child was, we would kind of close off everything else and let them have time. One of my favorite places for Make-A-Wish Kid was in Toontown at Disney World. We had a place called the County Bounty, where you could have a choice of 3 different rooms of which characters you'd want to see. One room would have usually Aurora, Cinderella, and Belle. Another one would have Donald, Pluto, and Goofy. And then another one would have Minnie, Daisy Duck, and a couple others. And there would be times when we'd have a Make-A-Wish child come in that we would just close the room and let that child spend time with all 3 characters in that room and not have to worry about any other distraction. It was so neat. You would see kids that wouldn't talk or respond to anybody, and they would open up. For whatever reason, Winnie the Pooh was one of the favorites for a lot of these kids. We would watch kids come in, and they would see a big giant mouse, and they would start screaming and crying. Except for Winnie the Pooh. I almost never saw a kid cry with Winnie the Pooh. Instead, they would go right into him like he's a big pillow. He got the most love. Again, we would see these kids come in fairly often. You would see these kids struggling and not feeling good, and then a character like Minnie Mouse would walk up to them, and they would just beam and their eyes would light up. Or for the girls, they would come up to one of the princesses, and the princess would bend down and hug them and say, I love you, and these kids would just light up. And for a little bit of time, they would completely forget their problems because Cinderella was right there with them, or Minnie Mouse was right there with them, or Goofy was doing a goofy dance and jumping around for them, or Pluto is licking their face. See, these sick kids just completely forget all their problems. I will never forget, we had one time I'd come into Toontown. It was a slower day, which was very unusual, and a Make-A-Wish family came up, and we started getting word before they arrived at us that, hey, get ready, we're going to put Toontown on pause for a little bit for this family coming in because this girl is really sick. And they happened to choose our room, opened up the door, and this family came in, and this girl came in. She was probably somewhere 10, 11, maybe 12. And she's in a bed chair. They've got the IVs hooked up on her, and she's definitely not doing well. Suffering with cancer, I would guess, but I don't really remember. As they brought her in, they closed down the other 2 Toontown rooms. And so she didn't just get 3 characters. They brought in everybody. And so this girl got time with Minnie, with Donald, with Pluto, with Goofy, with Chip and Dale. And then all 3 princesses came in. Aurora, Belle, Cinderella. And they just spent time loving on this girl. A couple of the photographers were busy taking pictures, and I just got to kind of step back out of the way and watch. I don't think there was a dry eye in that room as they loved on this little girl who was obviously so very sick. We took care of her. They got the great pictures. They handed them their photopass cards so they could look at the pictures later, and off they went out to wherever they were going next. After that, we reopened the rooms and continued right on with our day and back to meeting all the guests. I remember coming back from break a few hours later. As I came back, I was walking out of our break room, and I made a right turn where our base was, where we picked up our equipment and checked in to see where we were going to be going next. And I looked over, and my equipment manager was crying. It made me pause, wait a minute. What's wrong? Why are you crying? And she looked at me and says, you remember that little girl that came in? Yeah, the one that was sick? She's gone. In just that matter of time, since she had met those characters, she passed away. And it hurt. There were a lot of us crying that day, a lot of cast members upset. But at the same time, we knew that we had made one of this little girl's last memory, one of all these characters loving on her. We were able to help put a smile on her face and some joy in her life before she went on. It could be a lot of fun, but it could also be very hard moments sometimes. But we treasure those because we know we were making a difference. Thank you again so much for listening to this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't one of the more lighthearted ones, but hey, if I put a tear in your eye, then I hope I did my job well. Again, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, put a comment down below or on the side if you're on your phone. Let me know what you think. I would really love to hear from you. Be sure to like it, be sure to share it, be sure to forward it on. I would so appreciate your help getting the word out. Thank you so very much.